Welcome to Old Man Orange Podcast, number 3. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes,
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
and today we're going to be talking about the brand new Total Recall.
Which I'm actually kind of interested to hear what you thought of this, because I know the original Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of your favorite movies of all time. So
It's my favorite Arnold movie they ever made. I actually like this new Total Recall. I thought it was pretty cool. It's not the same. It's kind of the same story.
they still got the three tits,
Yeah, they got the 3 tits. I was really
which is
excited because when
surprising.
I saw the PG-13 rating,
Yeah, that really surprised me for being a PG-13 movie. Not saying the three tits totally made the movie, but it's just one of those things. Like, oh, that's actually kind of ballsy for a big summer movie.
well, when I was a kid in Total Recall, like when a friend had it on VHS, that was how they sold it to you. Your buddy would be like, "This movie's got a chick with 3 tits in it." You're like,
Cranked out a Mountain Dew, you're like, yeah,
you're like,
three
well,
tits.
it's 3 tits. I barely get to see 2 tits, but you're saying there's somebody with 3 tits out there now? Oh, I gotta fucking see this.
And it's not in Tijuana either. It's in Mars.
And well, that was really what made if the movie get close to borderline R. That was about as close as it got. Other than that, though,
They cut away from a lot of the blood in the movie. There's like a
Yeah.
little, like there'd be like bleeding on the side of the head or a nosebleed. There's like one part where people got stabbed here and there, but nothing too violent really.
No, they did the classic thing, like to make it a PG-13 movie, let's have him fight robots and stormtroopers, pretty much.
Well, I thought they actually, because yeah, most of the people in it, most of the bad guys in it were robots, and they looked kind of like a cross between stormtroopers and the Halo armor.
Yeah, they look kind of like the Halo armor, but they really remind me of the Mass Effect armor. That's what I kind of thought of.
I still got to finish Mass Effect. I haven't beat that game yet, but I kind of see what you mean there. It had that kind of new shiny look to
Yeah,
it.
it had the shiny look, and then they were kind of robots.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Stormtroopers.
But this movie had a lot of actors in it I liked. I mean, Colin Farrell. I'll be honest. I like Colin Farrell. I was like, to playing the Arnold character, you're getting Colin Farrell. But a movie that actually gave me a lot of respect for Colin Farrell was In Bruges. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And so I was like, well, In Bruges is pretty awesome, so I'll give it a chance for that. And we'll give Colin Farrell a chance for that. And
He was pretty buff in the movie, actually, too.
He-
There's only
he-
one
he
scene with his
bulked
shirt
out.
off, but like he definitely did kind of work out. He
Well,
got
he-
as big as Colin could get.
yeah. Bryan Cranston was in that. That's one of my favorite actors. He's the main character in Breaking Bad, and he was also the dad in Malcolm in the Middle. He could play a bad guy pretty good. I was glad to see him play Cohagen. What's his name?
Cohagen.
Cohagen. I always want to say Copenhagen, like the tobacco in.
No, not chewing
That's
tobacco.
pretty evil too, though. So it would work.
Cohagen. You
Come
got
on,
what
Copenhagen.
you want.
Let these people out. Which I was kind of hoping. This movie doesn't take place on Mars. There's no point where you get someone thrown out of the airlock with eyeballs popping out, going, yeah. I would have liked to see Colin Farrell's attempt at that. I mean, it would have been as
Yeah,
magical
you don't
as
get
Arnie.
Mars. There's a quick reference to Mars.
I thought I was kind of like
when
that
Colin
kind of made
Farrell's,
me grin.
when they talked about Total Recall, and he's like, "Oh, I would like to go to Mars."
Yeah.
He never goes to Mars, but
The Kate Beckinsale's in it. She not as big because this is directed by Lynn Wiseman, and Lynn Wiseman and Kate Beckinsale are actually married. So I actually think this is probably she actually did. Here's one thing about Kate Beckinsale. Even though she's naturally British. She's actually British. She comes across as, because when you first see her, she's talking in an American accent. She's pretending to be his wife. Then when she finds out that he's at Total Recall, where he's getting all his old memories back, she's evil. And when she comes evil, she's British. It's evil space British,
well,
you know.
the thing I don't understand is now
And
the story of this one is that the world has been pretty much almost destroyed by chemical warfare and all kinds of stuff like that. But the only places that are left is Europe, which is ran by England now, and then there's Europe's
Australia.
colony. Yeah, which is Australia, and it's called the colony.
Which they're a couple hundred years late on that one, but whatever.
Well, the thing I thought was kind of weird though is
It's a cyberpunk,
Okay,
so
well,
they
no,
gotta
no,
make
no.
they gotta make the whole.
if they're in country world England, almost nobody had English accents though. Everybody was speaking American.
And Obama was on the dollar bill
Yeah,
there.
and Obama was on the dollar bill.
Well, it was just a fusion of just all countries.
guess, but
because
when-
there was the whole Asian section. There was
Oh,
that was
the Asians-
Australia.
they're
That was
all
all
the colony.
Australia. Never mind, that was the colony. You're right.
You know what makes I see this all the time in the cyberpunk / any sci-fi movie. Why is it we're in the future? It's 100+ years later, and even though there's like there's the Asian society, there's Asian town, whether it be Chinatown, Japantown, whatever, in Future
It's
Town.
always the ghetto.
Well, why are they still wearing rice hats in the middle of a city?
I
I've
think
seen
I think
them.
it's primarily American thing. Like, oh, this must be Asia land. I think it's more of an
What are
American.
they going to need a rice hat in when they're in like a
I
ghetto of a
think
city that never even sees the light? It looks like Gotham.
it looks like Gotham from Batman Begins. No, it does. No, I thought that like. I mean, the scope of the movie's awesome. I think the look of it, the scenery is pretty awesome. But I think the whole thing, like, really, every cyberpunk's been trying to do the whole like Blade Runner thing. Like, we've got to throw Japanese shit everywhere, put Chinese shit everywhere, get across that it's multicultural. Yeah, it's like Blade Runner was the first to do that, so he kind of took it with a grain of salt. But now it's like, we don't need every single like you don't need to look like peasants and like the poorest district of Chinatown by this point.
Yeah, it always is focused on the Asians. And I don't know what it is about. Like every sci-fi movie, they always make the Asians look like their race has not advanced in 200 years.
But no. But overall, though,
But also speaking of another good Asian, John Cho's in the movie.
very briefly, he had like It's kind of funny. They put his name on one of. You knew he was gonna die because they showed him in the trailer. But his name's one of the first names on the roster, and he really goes out pretty quickly. I mean, when he's in there, he's a pretty good character. He's interesting, but he just kind of comes and goes very quickly.
Yeah, he's pretty much the doctor at Recall, so he's the guy doing the procedure there.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, a bunch of police bust in.
Kill everything. So, well, actually, no, they kill everybody but Colin Farrell, and Colin Farrell kills them, which I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've seen the Arnie one. Did a bunch of police bust in? Did Arnold kill them?
No, that one. I actually think that scene they did it actually a lot better in the Arnold one
because he just beats out. Because the original he just fought off the scientist.
You don't know what's because he goes into the machine, and then you're like you don't know if he actually went into Recall or not. Because then he starts freaking out, and you don't know if he woke up from, the dream, or if he woke up just from the procedure. But in this one, they kind of tell you right away off the bat that, no, don't put him in there yet. He's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
So you know right away that it's, you can't have that thing. It's like, is it the false dream, or is it actually reality?
Yeah.
This one, you kind of go, oh, no, it's reality right away.
Yeah. Which, another thing about about this one was, I thought, I guess it's simple with me. Put shiny things in front of me, it catches my attention. But a lot of the technology and a lot of little gadgets throughout this movie, usually whenever I see that in a movie, I'm like, okay, whatever. But this movie had some really cool concept, really cool ideas. They have like cell phone. Some people will have cell phones like built into their hands, and they'll just put their hand up to their ear and just talk into it. Then if they go up to like a piece of glass and stick it to it, a little like you see like what looks like computer
video phone,
circuitry, like appears and able to have like a video conversation with each other. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Car chase there's a little like car chase in this movie is pretty interesting.
No, the car chase was pretty cool. I like the way they did that. Like, they do a really cool sci-fi thing with it, and it's actually pretty different from
it wasn't trying to ride on the tailcoats. It was taking the bare bones concept.
Yeah, it takes the concept, which is cool, but it gives you something that you like. An original Total Recall fan is gonna totally dig.
Which I've never read the original short story, but
no, I never have either. This one's supposed to be more based off of it.
Mm-hmm. The one thing that I found was, I don't mean to be this guy who's just looking for things to complain about. Aside from Kate Beckinsale, I'll say this real quick. I want to jump back on Kate Beckinsale for a second. Her fake American accent, for whatever reason, was more believable than her evil British accent.
Her British accent.
Because she was very much just kind of like, if she had a mustache, she'd be twirling it that whole movie. That was kind of her character. But whatever, that was more.
Well, they definitely.
That was Sharon Stone's character, more or less, in the original.
Well, yeah,
it was Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone's character in the original one, but Kate Beckinsale becomes actually a real main character, where Sharon Stone really only had three scenes.
She dies like 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
No, it's farther into it than that. That was another thing. Is throughout the entire movie, I was waiting for that great one-liner where Arnold
consider the divorce.
Yeah, consider the divorce.
Yeah.
He shoots her right in the head, and there were so many parts where it's like I thought they were actually gonna say that line. I thought he was gonna really say that line because she's in the movie forever.
The only real reference they made to the Arnold one that I noticed was "Come on, Cohagen." Like, well, actually, it wasn't. It was Colin Farrell saying it, but it's like "Come on, Cohagen," and then the line, just a little line referencing Mars for a second. Those are the only two things I noticed that like were shout outs to the original.
Well, it's kind of sad because there are so many great one-liners.
But I think that I think that's kind of like a double-edged sword because half the people like, oh, that's awesome. They reference that, and other people are like, of course they're gonna reference that, just because.
Well, those people can go fuck themselves and
Yeah,
not
I
come
know.
see Total Recall then if they don't like the original one.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm just
No,
saying we
well,
get a lot of.
one-liners, they're those kind of things. They're not like as cool as they used to
I
be
know. I
anymore.
know some people that got pissed off when they went to go see Terminator Salvation. Like, what should I tell the troops? And Christian Bale turns around and says, "I'll be back." So like, half the people are like, "Ugh." I'm like, whatever. Oh yeah, that's fine.
They said it in all four of them, and that's actually not even an original Arnold line.
Yeah,
Like Kyle's character says that.
exactly. So, only natural he gets it. Well, actually, other way around. Never mind. I'm getting confused.
But
Back to.
there was still some cool one. That was just the one line I thought they were gonna carry over. Was just the
Mhm.
consider this a divorce.
Yeah.
Great line. That's the whole point. Kind of is like that. Kill the fake wife.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, this was a pretty good flick. It was
This-
really, it didn't blow me away. It's more of just this is kind of like this is a good example of a fun summer like action film because it's really just one long consistent action scene. Most of this movie, there'll be like they might have like a 5 minute, maybe 10 minute like slow down, explain things for a second, but then once the action really starts, it keeps on going.
Well, what this movie is a chase movie.
Yeah.
And the other one kind of went back and forth between things. He was being chased, then he wasn't.
I was kind of sad they didn't have the mutants or the aliens.
No, yeah, I know. They
I mean,
take
it's
out
on
a lot of
Earth. It's on Earth,
They take all
so-
that. Well, yeah, but those mutants, they weren't like mutants from Mars. They were Earth people because they just didn't get enough air from the.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
why they turned into mutants.
I keep in
The
mind,
only
it's been a
thing
while
close
since
to
I've seen
the
that.
closest
flick.
thing to the mutants is the three boobs. That's about as close as you get.
I was really hoping Guado would be in there, like
Yeah,
because when Bill Nye comes in as the Rebel Alliance leader guy, I was like, please bust that shirt open and let there be a little like Muppet sticking out of your fucking chest. But no, that didn't happen. It's like, oh, whatever.
No, yeah, they kind of go on.
I figured by that point they
well,
were gonna see
in
it.
the 2000s, people kind of like to have more
CG.
realistic feeling. Yeah, CG, shiny, bright. We live in that kind of age.
Which the
where,
original was very gritty and
Well, the original was gritty, and there was mutants, and it was one of the last movies to actually have real special effects
And
not
models,
CG.
yeah.
Models and all that stuff. The one scene that was really cool, which was like the only scene with CG really in the old one, was when he's going through the security to get back into England town,
Mhm.
Europe,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call that. It shows like there's like the old lady who looks kind of how like Arnold's costume looked like in the Total Recall.
Oh yeah.
But you're like, you think that's gonna be him, and then you think it's gonna be him, and the next thing you know, it's not that old lady, it's the Japanese guy behind.
I
him.
actually knew it was gonna be. I forgot about that. Yeah, well, actually knew something about this seems familiar. But then the Japanese guy. The thing about the Japanese guy is because when he was flipping through the passports, you actually saw that face in there. So I kind of knew right off the bat that was gonna be him. But I kind of forgot about the old lady thing. I'm like, something about that looks.
Well, I
familiar.
think since I've seen the other one so many times, it's
Yeah.
like when I saw
I've only
old
seen
lady,
that one like 3 times, and last time I loved it. I have it, but I've probably only seen it 3 times, and last time I watched was probably 2 years ago. But
yeah, that movie I've seen it.
regardless, I still I love the original. This one I liked. I mean, it was not a bad movie. It's just kind of it's just a very long action scene for the most part, which is fine because it's a chase
But
film.
it's pretty good. Yeah, overall, I mean, I thought it was cool. As a Total Recall fan, I really dug it. I was pretty impressed the whole time.
Someone I was actually kind of glad to be in this movie was Booking Woodbine. I think that's his name. He's not in. He's not
the guy
in.
plays Harry.
Yeah, he played Harry. Yeah, I thought that was cool to see him because he's someone you don't see him in. He's in a lot of stuff, but he's always like a supporting character. Like he was in Black Dynamite. But what I know him best in his movie that I liked a lot was very silly action comedy, but the big hit with Mark
Marky
Wahlberg,
Wahlberg,
Marky Mark, and Lou Diamond Phillips. He plays his friend who they're like hitman. He plays his friend. He just discovered jerking off, so the whole movie you see him constantly like exercising his hands or whatever.
My favorite part of that movie is the very, very end of it.
When they're
the
fighting
movie
in the video store.
and there's a big, huge poster of him there, and it says "Our best customer."
In the adult section, giving thumbs up. Yeah.
That part's great.
Which the whole movie, I was like, I've seen this dude before. And by the time that's where I saw him. I saw him in The Big Hit.
You know what I think's kind of funny though? It's like this is a character you don't see in movies anymore, but the guy that played Harry in the Arnold Schwarzenegger one is like you never see like that kind of Brooklyn, like New Yorker kind of guy
Yeah, you don't see
with
him.
the accent, kind of bald and kind of Fred Flintstone-ish. Like
Yeah.
that guy, like you never see that guy in movies anymore. That used to be such a common character in like the 80s and early 90s.
I think
Like
just,
like Mario
I
Brothers-ish.
I think it's kind of like the 90s, like, whoa guy that was in every teen comedy or every Pauly Shore cop. He's like, they just got bored of him. It's like, we got to get rid of this guy.
Then there's his dad, who's the Brooklyn Knight.
Yeah, he's like, my fucking kid just won't stop with the whoa-ing and the surfing, the Pauly Shore and whatever,
Yeah.
But I think this is actually probably one of Len Wiseman's better movies. Not saying his other movies suck. I looked up all the everything he directed. He did Underworld, Underworld 2, Die Hard 4, the Hawaii 5 remake pilot, and this. Those are everything he directed. I don't know about things he produced
Out
and
of all
wrote.
those movies, I definitely say this one I liked more than all the other ones.
Yeah, which I actually like Die
I
Hard
do
4.
like Die Hard 4 a lot.
And I even like Underworld 1 and 2. They don't, like I said, they don't blow me away,
They're
but
nice.
they're, whatever. But this one was probably definitely a stronger movie, and it's cool.
I like how like when they're talking about his apartment and they're just talking about how it's like, oh, this is such a shitty apartment. But you look at this apartment, and it's like it's nicer than like anybody's house I know of.
It's future by future standards.
By future
it's
standards,
shitty.
it's shit, but like it's still like everything's pristine and nice and clean. You walk
Yeah.
out to the patio and you have to look at like Slumtown, but
Slumtown looks kind of cool,
But
The
Slumtown
future, movies in the future are like the one thing that makes slums look hella badass.
well, the cool kind of thing about it is like everybody lives in like this kind of like Mario World floating like platforms that have houses built on them and stuff.
Yeah. No, there's a whole part of the movie when like there's a sequence where they're
The elevators.
the elevators. Yeah, they have a bunch of elevators that are kind of going left, right, up and down, just going every which direction. And there's a part where they're jumping from like block to block. It literally looks like the TikTok clock level from Super Mario 64. I was literally
Everything's like blocks and squares. There's
square
rotating and spinning.
yeah, just rotating. There's really no like guiding rails, just going around. I'm like, oh, I'm just Len Wiseman maybe should do like the Mario Brothers reboot if they ever get around to making that.
I don't know if he did the reboot, it probably wouldn't look too much different than like the original Mario Brothers one.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying
That's actually really what the Total Recall actually kind of reminded me of Mario Brothers,
Super
like
Mario.
the look.
It kind of did. Well, like nearly any cyberpunk movie from the '90s, like Judge Dredd. I mean, it was just the cyberpunk look of the '90s. Just Judge Dredd, Super Mario Brothers, Total Recall. They all kind of had that look.
Yeah, they all had the kind of like the post Blade Runner look.
If they did come out with the Super Mario Brothers reboot, I bet it would be something kind of like the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland, maybe Guillermo del Toro Hellboy, something kind of like that. If they did do it,
Yeah, that would be full CG.
that is full CG. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't think Pixar is going to jump on that one.
I wasn't thinking Pixar, but
DreamWorks. Nah,
there's other companies than that.
There's other. They're just the first two that come to mind. But yeah. But back to this movie though.
No, this one was pretty darn cool though. I don't know. I liked it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The trailers were really cool though.
Yeah, the trailers actually.
It actually had some pretty cool ones. Even some movies that like I don't know like. Well, we'll get this one out of the way first. It had Resident Evil 5, which the trailer looks good. They always look good for the trailers, but the movie probably is gonna suck.
That's the thing. I know. I mean, this is kind of a obvious statement. Usually, the shittier the movie is, the more awesome the trailer is. And I don't really like the Resident Evil movies. To me, it's just. I mean, keep in mind, I'm not the world's biggest Resident Evil fan. Not that I dislike the games. I like them. I like what I played of them. But I know that's one of your favorite game franchises. And for me,
yeah. The first one's good. I mean, it's nothing amazing. It doesn't blow your mind as a movie, but as a movie going compared to a video game, it's pretty darn cool because it kind of runs, side by side.
Yeah.
But as all the other ones progress, and I'm just gonna jump straight to the fifth one. Is they always hand you one of your favorite characters from the game, and then they just like put that character in the corner the whole time and let Mila Djokovic just like take over.
Well, they always like like for instance, Clash of the Titans. Those movies suck. I mean, the remakes suck. But the trailers looked awesome. Just the perfect timing. They'd always show you just the cool shit, and then
all the cool shit's shown in one.
With
trailer.
like a Marilyn Manson song over it, edited just perfectly to go along with all the action and movement in the trailer. And then they're like, oh, that was. I should have known. Well, that's how this kind of looks. But
well, it's got like Ada Wong. It's like they always do those characters perfect. Like they make Ada Wong kind of like how they made Jill Valentine. She looked perfect. The character who played her, she did the most fantastic job. She even fucking researched the character. She went out and played all the games. I bet you that Ada Wong's probably in that same kind of similar boat. But that character is just gonna be pushed to the side as always.
Well, the thing about because keep in mind as I was saying earlier, I don't know nearly as much about Resident Evil as you do. But watching the movies, I'm like, that's not right. I know that never fucking happened. I never even played Resident Evil 3. And there's like...
It's a survival horror, not like a
that's the thing,
stylized action.
Because that's what happens. The first one, all right, yeah, has a little bit of the horror thing, has a little bit of stylized action. But all the other ones, it's just kind of like Mila Djokovic running around with some machine guns through a crowd of zombies, killing them no problem. And the whole thing for me personally, whenever I played Resident Evil, it was like, okay, I got 3 rounds left. There's 12 zombies. I gotta be very tactical. I gotta get across the room. That's how it always was to me. And these movies don't seem like that. They just seem like let's advertise it to the 15-year-old kids that are cranked out on Mountain Dew,
or the 35-year-olds who seem to really like these movies and find them actually exciting, and
or the
they
people
fill
who,
that empty gap in their life that they don't have.
or the people who are just such hardcore Resident Evil fans. They don't care. They'll love it just because it has the title.
The name.
We have friends that are like that.
Well,
Love them, but you know what we mean.
They put the, and then the movie's also 3D again. And one thing that's like, I mean, I already hate 3D movies as is.
They advertise the fuck out of the 3D.
Well, the thing, they always have to have somebody like throwing something towards the camera. Like, there's a bullet going towards the camera or a knife and it's going towards the, camera. So it's like going in the audience. And it's just like, how many times do we have to see that?
It gets very old very quickly.
I remember there was somebody once that said that I thought that was the funniest thing ever. He's like, you know what they really should do at 3D movies is they should just have like a little light that flashes up in the corner, and then you
put
pop
on the
your glasses, you watch, and then you can take them off and watch the movie again until the next cool thing. Because that's mostly always how they were. There's a couple cool things in them, and that's about it. But it's not really worth it.
Yeah, that's true.
But then there's the Bond trailer, and they had
the Bond
a new
trailer
one,
looks sick
because they had
Skyfall.
one during Batman, and that one was like it was a long teaser, is what it more was than anything else.
Yeah, it didn't show you very much. Just a lot of like just.
Or I guess that was during Spider-Man, I think.
May have been during it's Columbia, so I believe it was Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was Spider-Man, but this new one this one that gave you like the Bond more experience, and this one actually looks
Q's
more like
in this
a
one.
Bond.
He's young, but he's in it.
Yeah, he's in this one. He kind of looks kind of like a hipster, but that's okay. Whatever,
You gotta do. You gotta.
It's not 1960s anymore.
Yeah.
But this one looked really cool. It actually looked more like a classic Bond movie because Quantum of Solace kind of went off track, and
they got a different director for this one. I don't remember who's doing this one, but yeah, it looks good though.
Yeah, that one looked really cool. I was excited for that one.
The one I think I am looking forward to Skyfall a lot, but one that I'm really looking forward to actually, Man with the Iron Fist.
Oh, that looks so cool, and that was so cool because I didn't notice it like the first time or two I watched it, but Batista's in it, the wrestler. It's like
I don't know my wrestling. Is he WWE or something?
Yeah, he's WWE. He's been pretty popular about last 10 years or so, give or take. He's like one of the biggest guys on there. He's awesome.
If this movie, I'm actually hoping. I mean,
I think more wrestlers should be actors. I think they always do.
Well, you don't need a stuntman when you got a wrestler. That's for sure.
No, that's just like I want bodybuilding back in movies.
Yeah.
Where the hell did that go?
Now we got a bunch of we do got a lot of skinny guys.
I mean, they're always in good shape. I mean, look at Will Smith. Like when he takes your, you're like, oh, he is in good shape. And don't get me wrong, yeah, he's pretty big, but like whatever happened to the good old like Arnold, Stallones.
That's why we got Expendables 2 coming out.
I know we have to rely on you. It's funny, we have to rely on 60-year-old guys to cover us on this department.
Jason Statham's probably the closest thing we have.
Well, he's not like super buff though. He's an action star, but he's not like
not the bodybuilder.
He's not the bodybuilder action star.
But I really hope that just because I hope it ends up being a good movie. I'm looking forward to Iron Man. Man with the Iron. I'll check that out, sure. But Man with the Iron Fist, because if that movie does good, I'm not saying for sure this other movie's gonna happen, but what do you think is gonna happen if they make Man with the Iron Fist? Name something you think might come out.
Something might come out.
An adaptation.
Oh, like a Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
Well, that's a good example. But what I was thinking, because I would like to. Even though we already had a Street Fighter reboot, and we
I'm talking about like a good Street Fighter, and then just
I'm still kind of wearing like a black ribbon from like Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li, but
there was a reason we were the only two people in that theater.
There's like one other couple, like I think they were lost, but
they probably just saw every other movie and decided this is the next one.
So we got a free coupon, see what this is all about. Guy from Band of Brothers is in it, why not? But no, I would like to see a Mortal Kombat reboot. I would like to see a Street Fighter reboot. I think Afro Samurai might get made because for a while they were talking about.
A cool one.
Because for a while they were talking about we may do Afro Samurai, we may not. We're not sure. The reason I say that is because RZA did all the music to Afro Samurai.
Yeah, that's right.
He's writing and directing and starring in this movie. Eli Roth is helping him write.
That's cool. I like how Eli Roth because I've been waiting for Eli Roth to do something. He's done some acting in Quentin Tarantino movies, but
and don't get me wrong, I do love Samuel Jackson, but he's the kind of guy. Give him a check, he'll do anything. And I think if this movie, I do love Samuel Jackson. Don't get me wrong, but I believe if this movie does good, chances are they're like, let's capitalize on the whole hip hop kung fu thing, and they might come out with Afro Samurai. And that is one of the few anime things I would like to see in the live action.
See, that one I think that's one that could work in
Because
live action.
as I'm watching the trailer, I'm thinking this looks how I imagine Afro Samurai would look.
Well, the cool thing about that one is I like how it has like it captures sort of like the anime look of what it would look like in live action, sort of.
And they're not trying to tiptoe about it. A lot of these kind of movies.
No, it gives you the full on like
over the top.
Over the top.
I was thinking Ninja Scroll because there's what's the wrestler you like? What's his name? Batista. He like turns into a big gold guy.
Mhm.
And he's like fighting a bunch of chicks at once. It really reminded me of Ninja Scroll when I saw that, and I know RZA really likes a lot of that kung fu kind of stuff.
Well, it's one of those ones after seeing Scott Pilgrim and after seeing Sucker Punch and then after this movie, probably I think we can actually might be able to have a good live action anime movie.
Yeah, I think the closest thing, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I think the closest thing we had to a good live action anime movie was Speed Racer. I mean, as far as the story goes, and the acting was good.
The story was good, just the car scenes just never captured what like the show was all about.
Which was old school racing.
Yeah, which is just regular racing, you know, with some gadgets like a 007 movie.
The story was good and the acting was good.
No, the story was good. It's just
and I even
it had like an F-Zero thing. For
yeah,
some reason.
I even liked they weren't trying to tiptoe around the anime-ness of it. It was just, you're right though. It could have done without the CG. I mean, I still just took it. All right,
yeah.
I'll just take it at face value.
It was cool. Like I liked
it was a good movie.
The look of it, but I didn't really want an F-Zero movie. Oh, I'd take an F-Zero movie. It was just straight up F-Zero. I kind of would rather, when you go to see cars, it's like Fast and the Furious. Why did Fast and Furious 2 get so much crap? It wasn't the bad acting. It was the fact that there was some CG used. People got fucking pissed because of that. Nobody cares about the bad acting if there's CG used on cars. That's why the third one, they made a big deal to make sure it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because cars and CG don't go together unless
they really don't.
Sci-fi.
That's why Driven sucked balls too. Aside of the bad acting and stuff, not even Stallone could save that movie.
Oh yeah, that was a Stallone one.
Let's just jump back in the time machine and just talk about movies that could have been.
Movies that could have been.
Yeah.
Well, that's like
didn't
that Drive Angry one also have a bunch of CG in it too for a car?
I didn't see Drive Angry. I'm assuming it did just because he's escaping from hell. There's fire.
I don't mind if there's fire that's CG as long as the car and everything else is real.
I don't know. I never watched that. It just looked too much like, all right, well, Ghost Rider's coming out. Nick Cage will capitalize on that.
See, ever since they made fire look somewhat good in CG. They've always used that. Like, there's no more of those Jackie Chan running out of a building that's about to blow up on fire, and it's actually really blowing up on fire and everything.
I think that's still going to be real in movies like Expendables 2. Not to keep on sucking Stallone's dick here, but
Stallone, he leaves it out for us to suck.
Yeah.
He's good at that.
It's there. What are you going to do? That's more like if Arnold had a baby with Stallone. That wasn't very good. You do your Stallone.
I'm not going to do the Stallone now when I'm put on the spotlight.
It's on you.
I know.
You're going to let the audience down by that?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I'm not one to be.
It's out there.
I just do it.
That's where we go. Yeah. About as good as we're gonna get for the Stallone thing.
It's like when Jason Mewes was asked to act. It's like
it just doesn't always pan out.
He does that, but when you tell him to do it in front of a camera, it's a completely different story.
Yeah, that's true.
He
eventually
learned how to do it, but at first. Another trailer this is actually the trailer that looked the coolest out of all of them, and this tops them, I think, is Judge Dredd. And they just call it Dredd.
I'll be honest with you. I do want to see Dredd.
Actually, I don't know if I want to see it more than the last one.
I don't want to see. I'll be honest with you. Skyfall and Man with the Iron Fist have that one topped because. Dredd was.
Well, 007's my all-time favorite, so I already know that. I mean, the newer ones aren't. I don't like them nearly as much as the old ones. So
I really liked Casino Royale. Quantum of Solace could have been better.
Casino Royale was really good. Quantum of Solace was kind of iffy, so I think that was left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. I still think that.
The one thing
I'm rebooting 007, they should have just made it take place in the 50s. That would have been way cooler for the timeline. And plus, I don't know. I'm a big fan of period piece movies. Period piece. I don't know what it is. You make a movie a period piece. I already like it 1 point more.
The only thing I'm a little scared about as far as Skyfall goes is keep in mind I'm not a huge Bond fan. I don't like every Bond movie that comes out, but the Bond movies I do like, I really like. The one thing I'm a little worried about though is they're making him drink Heineken, which I'm not. It's not like he can only drink martinis and martinis only. But it's just, don't just have him chugging Heinekens the whole movie with the logo facing the camera the whole time. It's like Batman pulling out the mask, the Visa and Batman and Robin. It just keep it, he can have a Heineken.
It's a little bit too full front, advertising.
Give him a martini once or twice, maybe. You don't got to have him just chugging a Heineken the whole film.
See, now Pierce Brosnan, I think, could be drinking a Heineken because he's Irish.
I can believe that, yeah.
But
He's Irish, I believe. He'd be
So
drinking
that's
more
what I
of a-
mean, though.
He'd be drinking it. I see him more drinking a Guinness or Jameson and something.
Just like horribly drunk, with, like the beard, like he had in World's Not Enough in the very beginning.
Totally. No,
Or not
but
World's Not Enough. I mean, Die
I know
Another Day. My
I know
bad.
which one you meant. I sometimes get World's Not Enough and Die
I
Another
feel bad for getting that bad, for somebody who owns all the
Tomorrow
movies.
Never Dies and Die Another Day. I sometimes get confused.
Those two?
Not the plot, but just the title.
Oh, okay. Just because those two are like way completely different. One,
One's good.
China.
One's good. One sucks.
No. Die Another Day is not a bad movie. I think that's still a pretty good movie. It
It's
has
one-
some CG that kind of sucks in it.
Well, just the whole thing. I mean, I'm okay with some
And,
hokey
really, like some of those
but
ones, like it's like really the only part that's kind of like hokey-ish is the very end.
the
The first
sky
two
beam.
thirds of the movie is just awesome. That's actually one of the best 007s. Is actually
I
the
love
first
the
two-thirds.
intro, but then
The intro and even the part where he's in Cuba and stuff. That's all great. Yeah, the sky beam and all that stuff. That's a little much.
well, because like the outfit the bad guy's wearing, it's like all right, it doesn't.
Kinda like Magneto's.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like he looks like a super. Like all right, that really seemed like, you know what? All the X-Men and Spider-Man's popular right now. Make him look like a supervillain. And I didn't have a problem with the light surgery reconstruction thing. That was fine. I mean it's a little over the top, but it's fine. It was just more of it was a sky beam thing. It was the goofy outfit. It was also Halle Berry's not a very good Bond girl. She's beautiful.
I don't like Halle Berry.
She's beautiful and
I
all,
don't
but
even
she's
think
not
she's beautiful. I mean, she's good. She's fine looking, but she's I don't know.
She just wasn't a good Bond girl to me, and her character seemed just not as
Yeah.
likable as other characters that were in the Bond films. So I know that sounds kind of nitpicky, but it just for whatever reason I just didn't like that one. Then like just parasailing, the CG parasailing through the icebergs and all that.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's the part that I think is kind of bad. That and then the car's falling out, and I don't know how a car just sticks straight up after it fell out of a plane. It's gonna fall. It's gonna be smashed to bits. Pretty much.
I haven't seen the movie, and like I saw the movie once. I'm like, this is not good, but
I don't know.
whatever.
It's one of those ones. I think you should give it a second chance. It's one of those ones.
At some point,
The first time I watched it, I didn't think it was nearly as good, but the second time I watched it, well, it's kind of like Fight Club. Once you accept that, Brad Pitt's not real, it actually turns out to be an okay
that's
movie.
where you
Or a good
just
movie.
kind of like you're like, I'm digging this. When she's like, Brad Pitt's a real, fuck this movie.
Oh yeah,
fuck
the first
it!
time I saw
And then-
Fight Club, I thought I was like, this is so fucking stupid. Brad Pitt's not real. And then once I accept them, I'm like, no, that's actually a really good movie.
No, I thought it was just kind of funny for that because Brad Pitt was the whole time he was.
But then again, I guess
Well, it was just
the
what
way I
he
look
said
at it,
when he said
if
like.
I imagine myself as an alternate reality, I imagine myself as Brad Pitt.
Well, that's what I laughed about because he's like he just when like he turns to what's his name Edward Norton. He's like, I'm everything you want to be. It's like everybody does want to be Brad Pitt when it gets
Yeah.
down to it, does don't they?
I'm surprised he's not just standing there in his Troy outfit, like I'm everything you want, just naked, like how he is laying of some chick.
Well, when they first show
Long
him
blonde
Troy,
hair
isn't he
with
like in
sword.
the room? Is he like in a tent with like 3 women or something?
I think he just has
In
like
Troy.
2. I think
Two?
I can't remember.
Well,
I don't remember how
regardless.
many he has. He just has women and he's naked there.
Like
It's
whatever.
a popular seeing among the ladies too, strangely enough.
Yeah. That was like right before the woman started hating on Brad Pitt all of a
I know,
sudden.
there's that turn against Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise and any other male actor that used to be liked by women. And it's funny, it's like as male actors go, it's like they start out young and women love them and men don't really care for them. They're like, whatever, young punk,
Good looking
bitch.
guy. Fuck
With-
him.
straight face and no wrinkles. And then the second as he gets like about 30 and up, then all the women start to turn on him. Unless Mel Gibson until nowadays.
Everyone just hates Mel Gibson now.
But Mel Gibson was even popular in the 90s too, with women,
Mhm.
like in Clueless and whatnot. But then once they get about 30, 40, like the women totally turn on him, and then the men just think they start idolizing him.
Which I'm wondering if that's gonna happen with Ryan Reynolds because most guys I know hate Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
so,
most guys. I
and
love
most
Ryan Reynolds
girls-
since day one. I don't
most
care.
girls. I mean, he's one of those actors. He doesn't sell a movie for me, but I like him. I don't think he needs to be the next Highlander. But I'm wondering if like
As long as they just don't make him funny, because the thing is, he can be a serious actor too. He's a great comedian, but he doesn't need to be a comedian in everything he does.
he'll be good for Deadpool. I just think they just make his face fucked up. He has a very pretty face, so I can see 20th Century Fox being kind of like, ooh, when the mask is off, make
Well,
him
'cause
look
technically
pretty.
what you could really do, I mean, Deadpool, you could really get anybody and just put him in a costume and have somebody act and then voice him over.
Yeah, I know, but it's just one of those things. I'm just a little nervous. Like, well, we got to make him. His face is what's gonna sell the movie, so we got to make him look pretty. So
Yeah,
don't make
dudes will go to see Deadpool, but there's no chicks that are gonna come to see some fucked up face
some
guy.
like Ryan Reynolds fucked unless there's like flashbacks when he was good looking or something. But because I think he would be a good Deadpool, and even in Wolverine, I thought beforehand because the one thing I think something they fucked up in Wolverine was when he actually became Deadpool at the end. He was that's not how Deadpool is. Deadpool is a funny wise ass. The way he was
I
at
don't
the
think
beginning of the
that's
movie.
not how Deadpool I think originally was though.
Originally,
He
he
was
was
he
the
was. I mean, nowadays we know him as that, but he wasn't originally a funny, wisecracking,
but he's been
beating his friend Bob with a stick kind of guy.
yeah, I love that issue. This is my teaching stick, Bob. How do you teach? Every time you do something I don't like, I'm gonna whack you with it. That whole bit was pretty good.
But here's the next trailer that I want to talk about, and it's the Judge Dredd one. And I've kind of just heard tidbits about this movie. It's like one of those movies I kind of heard like, oh yeah, this new Judge Dredd movie coming out, and I was like, oh okay, cool, cool. And then it just like, oh, there's a trailer, and it looked really cool.
It looked very stylish. The whole because we have moments that look very artsy.
And it's R, so it's like it's not like Total Recall where I have to have this fear of my non-violence. No, it was R, and it looks cool, and the city looks awesome. They really kind of capture what the comic books look like. I've only read a handful of them, but
I've never read the comic. It looks like they really kind of it looks almost more like a bottled movie because it looks like rather than being about the whole city, he's on like in one building which is like 200 floors, and he's trying to work his way up to get to the leader. So that's actually pretty interesting.
they did have some expanding shots of the whole city too.
I'm sure there'll be some moments where there's a car chase throughout the city,
but no, it just
or we
looked
get.
cool.
I'm sure we're gonna get some of that. But I think overall the majority of the movie is gonna be within this building and just more of kind of like a bottle film, which I think that works fine.
And it's cool, and it's
something
from, and it's
different.
from Lionsgate, which is my favorite company because some of the best movies I've ever seen are from Lionsgate, and some of the worst movies I've ever seen from Lionsgate. They don't judge.
What's the worst one?
Ooh, I'd have to think about that. I've just seen some pretty bad movies.
Not to throw you on the spot again.
Yeah, it's like I've seen.
What's the worst movie? Do your fucking Stallone.
But no. Well, I don't care. Like after Punisher Warzone, this Judge Dredd looks really cool. They keep it R. That's the good thing about Lionsgate. They're not gonna cheap you out on anything there. They're not gonna be like Total Recall. That's the one problem I have with Total Recall. If there's a problem I had with it, it just should have been R because that was the one best thing that made the old Total Recall is the violence is so good in that movie.
The violence is pretty safe in this movie. Like the one thing that was pushing that R was
it was
three
just the three
tits.
boobs. The three boobs, that was what made it like close to R. I feel like that's the thing is like
They said
you either
shit a
get
lot.
violence or you're gonna get three boobs. You choose. You're not getting both here. Three titties or you get some heads to get shot in. That's about it.
And whenever they had like, because there's a part when Harry got shot in the head, even there was no blood there.
No, I know.
It was a very quick shot.
It was just like boom, boom, over. And that was just one thing is like, because the old Total Recall, they actually had to trim it back because it was going to become an NC-17 movie. That's how violent it was, which I
that's how like harsh
really wish.
Paul Verhoeven is.
Yeah, I really wish they would actually like throw whatever those scenes are. I don't even care if it's only like an extra 5 seconds longer on each little violent scene.
Given how stupid the
just make like a little like extended cut. There's a couple movies that's like that one, and then the remake of Night of the Living Dead, the one they did in the 90s too. That one they had to cut out a bunch of violence too in it because during that was kind of like the family era was right in that turn of the century, strangely enough. So they had to like cut some stuff down a bit. And I wish they would just release an actual like. And it doesn't need a director's cut or anything. I mean, it's just like something that has that violence put back into it.
Mhm.
Why not? I mean, if you shot it once, at least let the fans be able to see it. Don't tell us you have all this footage and but you're not going to see it.
It's like we got it. Like I'll let us see
and
it.
We live in a day and age now where people want to see all that extra shit.
I'm just gonna imagine like we got it. Can we see it? No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, that would take time. Like I'd have to go through like.
There's a possibility.
I'd have to like look through this film and.
With the exception of because Die Hard 4 was rated PG-13. They brought an unrated cut to DVD. Who knows? This one might. Not saying it will. This one might have an R-rated cut or
they might do,
more likely unrated cut.
Sometimes the only thing with those R-rated cuts that they do is like they have the PG-13 and then they bring you the R cut.
They say 2 Fs.
Well.
They said fuck once in the movie. They use their one fuck.
Yeah, they use their one fuck.
Which always seemed like you almost seem kind of ultimatum. Like you usually think you get one fuck or you get the 3 tits.
Yeah, well it's like, but whenever they throw those like the R, they turn the PG-13 movie into an R-rated movie. They'll throw the fucks in there, but they really feel like they were just like putting it in there way afterwards. Like you never see the character actually say it. You just kind of hear it off screen.
Yeah, because I noticed when I was watching Die Hard 4, the unrated cut, there's like whenever usually they would say like it almost looked like they did ADR'd that shit in there.
No, I think they did ADR it in there.
Even some of the blood maybe looks CG.
No, I think the blood was CG'd back on that. I mean, like It's kind of, I mean, in a sense, I like that more than the theatrical version. I mean, that's better than nothing, but it all still feels like,
Half-assed.
why was it not just R in the first place? And let's just give, I mean, it's a Die Hard fucking movie.
Yeah.
Why would you go to see a PG-13 Die Hard movie? I mean, I
When
went and saw a
especially when the
PG-13 one.
especially when the tagline of the series is "Yippee ki motherfucker."
I know. At least they got that in there. I mean,
That was their one fuck.
yeah, they saved that fuck till the end.
And they even had a gunshot over it, so you couldn't hear it completely.
Was there any other cool trailers we saw? There was that really weird
There's
trailer,
a weird
Branded.
trailer called Branded, which that looks like. I got mixed feelings on that
It looks
one.
like the movie made for those people that really like to look deep into movies, mixed with a guy who likes to smoke a lot of pot before he goes to watch a movie.
What this movie looks like from the trailer, there are apparently creatures that make you see whatever they want, which is why people like junk food, which is why people like all these different just shit we don't need in our body.
It's like the ultimate advertising movie.
It's like, yeah, well, even though like, because the trailer, the very end, when it says the title of the movie, it's just flipping through different versions of. It says the name Branded, but it says it like in the Subway font, it says in the KFC font, it says it in Starbucks font,
and the McDonald's,
and this is just something that's kind of going against. There's apparently these weird looking creatures that attach to your head or just kind of hover around you. I wasn't completely clear with it, and they make you want things you don't need. That's what I gathered from the trailer.
And they switch between like looking like, you know, kind of like robot-y, Transformer-like to like very cartoony and
cartoony blob. It's like the movie's gonna be rated R. But
it looked very confusing. Like at first I thought the movie was gonna be a comedy when I saw the very beginning of it because they had this kind of like McDonald's like commercial.
It looked like
it was a bunch of, and it was two fat people like talking about how great McDonald's was, and I thought it was like, oh, this is supposed to be funny, and then it goes serious, and then it goes funny, and then it goes serious again. And
it wasn't really. I thought it'd say kind of serious, but it was just almost kind of hard to take it serious because it starts off just kind of funny.
It
was just hard to take serious because you have these very bizarre looking just like CG creature things, like hovering around people, like sticking these like tentacle things in the back of their head, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, it's an interesting concept, but the way the creatures look, it was like this middle ground between cutesy, funny stuff you might see on that show Adventure Time to like dark, weird, like Donnie Darko shit, you know. So
yeah, I don't know. It looked interesting. That's all I have to say. If that movie describes anything, it's interesting.
I might check it out on Netflix or something, but I don't know if I'll pay to see it. I'll have to see another trailer for it, but who knows?
Was that all the trailers?
There was that.
There was some trailer that came in between 007 and Resident Evil. No, never mind. That was just the Resident Evil trailer.
Resident Evil.
It just started out strange.
Yeah.
I guess that was it.
Well, one thing, go back to Resident Evil for a quick second. The one thing, my biggest problem with Resident Evil is they don't have a consistent voice of the movie. Because I was like, oh, they keep on switching directors. That's why it keeps on changing. I'm like, no, it's the same fucking writer throughout these movies. And it's Paul W.S. Anderson, which I'm kind of wondering if there's like if Paul W.S. Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson, the guy who wrote Boogie Nights, or the guy who directed Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood.
And he wrote him.
Yeah, and he wrote him. Would have like trouble, like, you know, like, hey, like this is Paul.
No, they had to change. One of them had to change their name because of that. That's why they both go by their full names now.
Just call him like, hey, this is Paul Anderson. Oh, you made that fucking Alien vs. Predator movie. Fuck you. No, I made Boogie. She hangs up on him. Fuck. And then the other Paul Anderson calls someone up and says like, hey, this is Paul Anderson. Oh, dude, I loved Boogie Nights. Like, oh, well, no, look, what do you got for me? Resident Evil 4. Oh, you're the other guy.
That's okay. It makes a lot of money. Come on in.
Yeah, I do like money.
No. They actually did have that problem originally back in the 90s. That's why they both go by their full name. Because if you look at really old movies, it just says Paul Anderson. Like on Mortal Kombat, it just says Paul Anderson. Because he did come along before the other guy, in a sense.
Which I bet some fans must have been. This is like before internet and all that. They must have been like confused as hell. Like,
well, you look at the back, like the guy who made Mortal Kombat made Boogie Nights, and then he goes on to make Alien vs. Predator.
Yeah.
Or did he just write that one?
He directed it.
Did he direct that one?
Yeah. Which was fucking horrible. But no, no. But the thing about they're inconsistent because 1 minute it's like, okay, this one, the first one, it runs parallel to Resident Evil. That's kind of different than any video game movie that's been out by that point. That was interesting. It just runs parallel to it. Different characters, runs parallel. And plus, there's that whole thing at the end. oh, that's Nemesis. That's kind of cool. I didn't think of that.
Nice little twist.
Then second one, it's like, oh, we're going off on our own thing, okay, and you got a lot more action going, okay, whatever. And the third one, then the end of the second one, they're just like, they're doing the whole thing where they say, all right, this whole thing was just a setup. We fixed it so Umbrella doesn't look bad. So, and apparently Alice can be the bad guy in the next one because they get her under mind control. And the third one picks up.
She shakes it off.
And just shakes it off. It's no big deal. And apparently that cover up they had the second one that made Umbrella look like good guys, it doesn't fucking matter because the whole world ended. So it just they don't have a consistent voice with it. I didn't even see the fourth one.
You missed out. You didn't make it to the theater in time, but when they have those like previews before the trailer, like while you're sitting here watching or waiting for the movie, we have stuff to show you. They had a Resident Evil section, and it literally had this little like chronological through all these movies, like just in case you missed. And when you watched all four of these little like tidbits that explained each movie, it just made it sound like the most like inconsistent thing ever made. It was just like it did exactly what you said. And it was just funny because they even said it like that, and it was just like they're acknowledging it almost.
We just kind of went up with it as we went along, like
I don't give a fuck. You'll show up anyways.
We kind of wanted to make Mad Max, but we had the rights to like Resident Evil, so fuck it. That's number 3.
And the worst part is
the sad thing about number 3 is that's the same guy that's not. It's written by Paul Anderson.
Well, they're all written by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Paul W.S. the evil one, but they're all like directed. That one, the third one, was directed by the guy who did Highlander, and that was like the first movie he directed, I think, since Highlander, maybe Highlander 2. Poor guy,
he just kind of came back.
And just like it's his big return, and it's like, oh fuck,
And that third one's probably my least favorite of all of those ones.
I didn't see the fourth one, so
the fourth one's probably the second best one, actually. Strangely enough, yeah. It seems weird. Mainly the best part about that one is because in the very beginning of the movies, all those powers that she has that are so stupid are taken away from her right away. So it's like, that's thank Christ.
That's good.
So I think that's really the main reason that fourth one's better.
Well, anyway, that's this week's Old Man Orange podcast.
Yeah. So next week we're gonna see if we can do a couple of podcasts. One, we're gonna talk about all things Tom Morello. We're gonna talk about all his Night Watchman ones, and then came out a couple months ago, as in 6 months ago. But that, and then his comic Orchid.
I really want to read that.
Which he's up on number 8 right now, and number 9's coming out in September.
I found out
correctly.
Tom Morello's my favorite guitarist, so I'm surprised I found out Orchid as late as I did. I'm gonna have to catch up on that. But I probably won't take me too long to read that one.
And also, we might have some skits coming up soon that we might kind of
a new segment, yeah. So, anyway, thank you for listening.
So stay tuned. We'll have more.
All right, I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And I'm Spencer Skyfall.
See you next week.